So let's see what we've learned today about these issues related to planted soil forest. First, in relation to erosion and compaction, for instance, which can be also related to erosion in some cases. We've seen that it seems to be the big issue in Iceland related to historical deforestation, but not a big problem in Ireland or United Kingdom, where it seems that adequate management practices can manage or at least reduce erosion problems in planted forest soils. It is not an issue at present in Aquitaine in France, mostly because it is a flat area and because the soil is covered by forests. It seems that if the land use changes, this could become an issue. It is very important in the Basque Country, mostly because forest soils have been, let's say, limited to the steep slope soils. And in fact, it is considered by legislation of the most important soil degradation problems in forest soils. And it can be important in Galicia, especially after fire events. This is, in our opinion, a good outlook of what happens with soil degradation problems. And the first thing that we can see here is that the extent and the degree to which this problem affects soils is variable and is different among different regions in Europe. Same thing for soil organic matter decline. It is significant and very important in afforested peat soils in Ireland and United Kingdom. Not a problem at present in Aquitaine, for the same reasons than before. It has been observed in many soils in the Basque Country and mostly related to different management strategies. And it is the major problem in Galicia, where we've been also, it has been explained that it can be related to afforestation and fires. Soil nutrient depletion is a problem in some forest soils. It seems that there are problems with phosphorus in Ireland and in Aquitaine, in part because of the type of soils that these regions have. And we have also learned that there can be increased risks of soil nutrient loss if intensification of forest management increases. It has been related to soil organic matter losses in the Basque Country and also very likely in Galicia. And for soil contamination, as I said before, it has not been addressed as a major issue in any of the presentations, but it has been said that some diffuse contamination problems and future problems may arise if management practices change, especially in relation to the type of amendments that can be done in this type of soils. And finally, for soil sealing and land take, we can see that it is not a big issue in Iceland because the population density is very low, but it is a problem in many highly dense populated regions in Europe, such as the Basque Country. So all in all, as I said at the beginning with erosion, the idea here is that problems may be common, but their intensity is different in different territories. And also, by reviewing these problems, we have realized that most of these are interrelated, such as soil organic matter depletion and erosion. This is clearly established and acknowledged by all soil scientists and the soil thematic strategy, for instance. These problems are site-specific. They are in all cases or most cases related to forest management and can be subjected or affected by climate change or future changes in the environmental conditions. So with this, we've thought that another way of seeing these problems is through seeing which have been the cross-cutting issues that affect forest soil degradation and protection in the presentations that we have been seeing this morning. So we have identified 5 cross-cutting issues. First are land use conflicts. For instance, we have seen that tourists don't expect forest in Iceland, so there is a conflict between the touristic interest and forest. The agriculture has been expanding in the land region in France for the last decades, and there is in general, in some places, again, this fight of agriculture against forest, and I mentioned before the soil sealing problems in the Basque Country. So with these, I think that the main message should be that we need to identify priorities for land use. We have been a nice example in the Scottish soil framework that is currently ongoing, and it seems that this could be one of the conclusions of the session today. Second cross-cutting or transversal issue is the site specificity of problems and solutions that are related to soil degradation problems in planted forest. we have seen, for instance, that afforestation is the solution to soil degradation problems in Iceland. It is not, however, the best practice in all soils in the UK and Ireland, and in fact it has been banned in some of these soils. And it is the cause of soil organic matter loss and soil fertility decline in Galicia. So the same strategy is not valid in different soil types, climates, territories, etc. So therefore, we need site-specific assessment of forest soil degradation problems and site-specific solutions. For instance, we've seen in the presentation that Elena made this morning that forest management advice is being divided or is being set different for different soil types in the United Kingdom. And she said that the idea is to put the right trees in the right places. I have added this or not in brackets because maybe the solution in some cases is not putting trees at all. Third transversal issue are climate change issues. We've been dealing with storms intensity being increased, forest fires that can also be related to climate change and different patterns of rainfall and temperatures, and water availability problems maybe in the future in Aquitaine because of these changes in precipitation patterns. So what we need is developing adaptation strategies taking into account these problems. Fourth are the problems related to the intensification of management. We maybe already knew, but today we have had more evidence on the fact that changing to more intensive systems, for instance, when biomass is used for energy production, has consequences on soil degradation trends, such as nutrient depletion, soil organic matter losses, productivity, etc. In particular, it seems that we should pay special attention to short-term rotations with fast-growing species and intensive harvest systems, and this could be a general rule. But it is also true that we have seen some evidence on the fact that there are some trade-offs between intensification and net economic revenue of landowners. So the idea is that these issues with economic revenue versus forest ecological services need to be solved in the future. And the last consideration is about raising awareness in the public and in the policymakers and users about soil degradation problems. So all speakers, I'd say, have stressed the need for soil monitoring networks, including the identification of risk areas or risk soils, and the evidence of the need of more problem-solving research. Of course, we all scientists finish our speeches by saying we need more research, which is true, but it is also true that we should be able to focus our research on actual problems. We have also seen some producers explaining their problems, and this should be at least one of our sources of inspiration for research. So we should do this in contact with policymakers and, of course, land users. So all in all, the concluding remarks that we have prepared with Jean-Michel and Ander are these four in relation to the whole workshop. The first is that we have had today the proof that comparative analysis, such as the one that I just made, can be a fruitful and promising strategy in the way towards better forest soil protection. Second is that there is a need for a common framework for forest soil quality evaluation and research, which is not the case at present. There are some attempts, but it seems that we could work a little bit harder on that. Third is also the need for developing and encouraging the formation or the creation of cross-sectorial and multi-actor networks. This is related to what I just said about problem-solving research. And fourth, in relation to legislation on soil protection, there is an evidence that we need some more transnational harmonization and development of forest soil protection policies and policy actions, which should comprise the environmental services of soils. We, at least I have learned today, that the only effective policies being implemented for forest soil protection in Europe are related to certification. This is a good step, but we might be able to do something to a higher level. And since I have been told that we had 10 or 15 minutes, I think this is all. If you have questions, we can discuss later. And I'd like to thank you all for coming, and hope to have fruitful discussions in the future with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Íñigo. Thank you, Íñigo. We are just on time, and yes, we have enough time now to discuss and to make a little debate. Maybe if you stay here, I will propose to the speakers if they have seen something about their speeches, to add or to say about what Íñigo said. That is the moment, if they want to do a remark or something. And for the rest of participants to make any questions about it, and with this little debate, we will close the session.
Okay, is it on? Translator, can you hear me? I have an open question. There should be a document, a written document, going with the presentations. Is there also a document for the summary and discussion?
Not yet, but we can produce one.
Maybe you have a few comments. So
yeah, sure, yeah.
When you send it around, you could make the comments then.
Good idea. That one?
No, this is just the presentation.
It would be just fantastic.
Yeah, we can produce one and open it to reviews or comments. Yeah.
And what do we need?
The sooner the better.
Not next week.
No.
What does it mean? Before next week or after next week?
No, after next week.
Isn't it better to wait for the manuscripts? I know that we need to produce the manuscripts by the end of the month.
Oh, really? Okay.
I know, just for that to be written, and then sure, you could synthesize the report from it.
Yeah, I mean, I was not aware of this need to produce a document, but of course, if this can help, I can participate. Yeah, no problem.
Well, any questions? More questions? Well, if there are any, we will give the floor to Ander to make the final summary of the session, and the day, all the day, to Ander and close the day. Ander?
Yes, well, our main idea was to gather owners, researchers, managers, and policy-making people, and I think that we did a good job doing that. And the only thing I want to say is that I learned a lot, and I did really have fun today. So many thanks to all of you for coming, and I'll see you. There is one session now, young scientist session downstairs in the Michelena Hall. I think it might be very interesting for all of you. So I invite you to go there to EFI, I don't know, someday.